On today's wrestling news, we've got another AEW injury.
Why the docs won't give Cody a recovery time.
The SummerSlam guest referee has been revealed.
And a huge Ring of Honor World title match is now official.
Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? Yes, my name is Phil James and I'm joined by Gareth Morgan and Salty Sea Dog to talk all things wrestling news. But before we get into it, make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below what you think of all of today's stories, and links to each story are in the description, so click them and off you go. But first up, we have another AEW injury to add to the long, long list of just wrestling injuries at the minute. It's not just AEW, it's happening all over the place. It seems to be a pandemic of injuries going on at the minute. So we added Penelope Ford earlier this week. Tony Khan mentioned that she's been suffering with an injury. Then there was a scare of Matt Jackson on Dynamite in that amazing three-way tag team match. He ended up getting a stinger, but luckily it's nothing worse than that, so it should be okay. But Tony Khan revealed last night when a fan asked him on Twitter just what's going on with Andrade, why isn't he wrestling more, basically, and Tony Khan tweeted, he'll be ringside for Private Party versus Lucha Bros on AEW Rampage, but he's hurt and has been since the Classic versus Rey Fenix 3 weeks ago. But it's not like he hasn't been on TV. Like, he's still been around. He's still been accompanying Rush to the ring when he was in the Battle Royale thing and other things like that. So he's still around. He's still on TV. He's just suffering with some kind of undisclosed injury. So hopefully that means it's not too serious and he won't be out too long.
Yeah, it's one of them. I think AEW are quite good at being able to utilise people when they are injured. Like we saw it with Jericho when he had all of his issues that he's spoken about recently, all of his blood clotting, terrible stuff. Like they managed to get him on television consistently for a spell without anyone really knowing what was going on because they just used the smoke and mirrors tactic. So I think that's great if it means that the wrestler's going to be safe and healthy, not just putting himself through the ringer for the sake of it, doing that old traditional, we just power through the injuries mentality. I'm all for that. So as long as Andrade's all good, and yeah, let's just hope that that's the last major injury for a while now, because I think they've been dealt the fair share. It's not been a great time for AEW. But speaking of massive injuries, obviously the Cody Rhodes one was huge this year. That his torn titty, big purple boob all the way through his Hell in a Cell match. So he's spoken about that on Busted Open Radio. He had a surprise appearance. He just popped up and was like, "Hey guys, here's what's going on with my boob." And he spoke about why doctors aren't giving him a time frame, like a timeline for when he's going to be back. And it's a bit of it's an interesting one, to be honest, because on top of this, he was talking about just the strange, surreal nature of this kind of injury, because it's so specific in the way that it heals, because they've got to attach it back to your bicep and things like that. So on top of that, it just being quite an unusual injury in the first place, the doctor said, "The last time I was there for my big checkup after PT, they're not going to give me a timeline just yet for when I'm going to be back, because they're afraid if they give me that timeline, I'm going to try and jump it by a month or two. Because of course he will, it's Cody Rhodes."
Of course, it's Cody Rhodes, yeah.
So I've got to salute the doctors here being like, "No, Cody, we're not giving you anything." Because the minute they go, "Oh, it'll be 9 months," he went, "Sorry, did you say 6 months? That's fine." Like, he's going to do that. I know it's terrible maths, but he'll jump the gun and do whatever he wants to do.
He's going to John Cena it,
yeah, big time, which is fine if he does it safely and he just put it through grit and determination. But if he just rushes back before he should be, that's not a good thing. Let's not do that. But on top of this, a quite harrowing thing that he mentioned in this interview as well, but in a typical blasé Cody Rhodes way, as he does, is the fact that he nearly hemorrhaged during the surgery. He said, "People don't know," he said, "but I don't think people know. The surgery was, I almost hemorrhaged in the surgery because there was so much blood." People have seen the picture of it in the match per se. It was pretty gnarly. So yeah, not great. That you nearly...
nothing about this injury has not been gnarly. It's all been pretty grim.
Yeah, so it's one of them. I mean, again, it's great that he seems to be on the road to recovery. Seems to be doing all right. Yeah. But just take your time, Cody. I know WWE may need some serious stars and some compelling performers right now, but I think for the most part, we just want you to have a long, nice career. So just don't rush back with half a titty, because we don't want that.
Absolutely. Get well and get well properly, more importantly. You've got to imagine he has that Royal Rumble as a goal in mind.
Yeah.
But whether it happens or not, it's not the end of the world if it doesn't sort of kill yourself trying to do it.
So you're saying there's going to be a clash at the castle? That's
probably. Yeah. So yeah, speaking of WWE, last night on SmackDown, it did get revealed the guest referee for the Street Profits versus the Usos match at SummerSlam. Who's it going to be? So it was Angelo Dawkins versus Jimmy Uso in a match last night. And the same kind of similar finish happened as what happened at Money in the Bank between them. Where he had his shoulder up, but the referee didn't see it and still counted the 3 anyway. So Adam Pearce came out after the match saying, well, this is why we need a special guest referee, because all of their trained professionally, like people they've hired specifically for this job, career-long referees, just they don't cut it. But, who will cut it? Jeff Jarrett. He'll be able to do it. So I imagine Michael Hamflett is absolutely buzzing now. He's obviously from Nashville, Tennessee, so that's where the tie-in goes with SummerSlam. He's coming back as the head of like WWE's live events within the company. So obviously he's coming back. He's going to be on the special guest referee. He's going to be at SummerSlam. He's going to come out. He's probably going to hit someone with a guitar, and it's probably going to be good fun.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it.
It's absolutely
It's a little
fine.
bit weird, the tie-in with the tag team thing and the special guest ref, but he's from Nashville, it all works, it's fine.
It's just fine, isn't it? It's one of them. It's just an easy crowd pleaser. I think Pat McAfee best summed it up when it did happen. He was like, "Oh, who in their right mind would have woken up this morning thinking that this was going to be the special guest referee?" And I was like, "For a good reason, Pat." It's just that she's out there going, "You got all these storyline characters you can bring in, but no, let's have Jeff Jarrett." I like Double J. Why not? Like, just throw him in there, let him get a nice little pop, and it's just send the people home happy kind of stuff, which is fine. Indeed. But something else which will most definitely be sending the people home happy when it goes down. Obviously, we've got the Death Before Dishonor Ring of Honor pay-per-view, which is coming up right now very soon, and we've got a big match, Phil. We've got a pretty big match, which is looking like it's going to headline this pay-per-view now. And it's looking like, for a show that next to nobody really gave a toss about at one point, it's looking like one heck of a card at this moment. But the main event, which is it's looking like it's going to be the main event now, is going to be Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham taking on Claudio Castagnoli, and this obviously went down after his match last night on Rampage. He successfully defended his championship against Lee Moriarty, and then after it, he was like, "Oh, nobody can beat me." He did like a typical kind of Roman Reigns, like, "I'm the best, no one can touch me, going to be stuck me for a long time," and then out came Claudio, and he just... it just made a lot of people sit up in the seats and go, "I kind of really want to see these two technical wizards beat the ever-loving piss out of each other." So just to update you on this Death Before Dishonor card, which is looking like a heck of a card. We've got Wheeler Yuta versus Daniel Garcia for the Pure title. We've got Samoa Joe versus Jay Lethal for the TV title. Mercedes Martinez versus Serena Deeb for the Women's title. FTR versus the Briscoes in a 2 out of 3 falls match. It's the stipulation that was added to it now for the Ring of Honor tag team titles. And then Claudio Castagnoli versus Jonathan Gresham for the world title. Wow. I think they've sold me, Phil. I think they've got me on this one.
Yeah, this is looking very tasty, and Claudio versus Jonathan Gresham is like a little bit of a sort of dream match-ish. Like, it's a pairing that we just never thought we'd get like about a year ago. If you said that this was going to happen a year ago, I don't think anyone would believe you. And the form that Claudio is on at the minute, where he's just turned up to 11 in every single match, and he's just running like an absolute madman going through people. This is going to be a very good fun match. This is going to be a great clash.
It's going to be a very good fun.
It's going to be a very good fun. And then you add on that and the follow-up to FTR and the bloody Briscoes. And this is shaping up to be a very, very tasty card indeed. But speaking of it, we've got a Twitter question about it. So let's move over to those. The first one comes from Wrestling with Doom, who says, "Hey, Salty." Doesn't say hi to us, Gareth.
Deep.
Sorry.
Very deep.
I mean, it's fair. With the announcement of Claudio versus Gresham, have we gotten ourselves into another situation where neither man can lose? Claudio is just getting going, but heel Gresham seems like it's working. I'm torn. And then he's got a picture of Moose, and Moose says hi.
Oh, that's very nice, Moose. That's a lovely picture of Moose. I don't know with this. I mean, personally, because Claudio's your new kind of hot property, and seems like one of the hotter people in AEW and technically Ring of Honor now, I'd put the title on him, and he's never won a world title, so that'd be a nice moment. But then equally, you've got heel Gresham, who can use nefarious tactics to get the win now. So they've got options, is what I'm saying here, but I'd like Claudio to win it.
I disagree. I think Jonathan Gresham gets a lot more out of this than Claudio does. As nice as it would be, don't get me wrong, for Claudio to like leave WWE and then come back and like be the Ring of Honor champion and things. if there's anyone that has gotten really good at losing over the last 5 years, it's Cesaro. It's Claudio Castagnoli. He'll be able to do it where he elevates both people in the match. He'll be able to do it where it doesn't really hurt him going forwards, and he'll be able to recover from this. And I think it offers more to Jonathan Gresham in the long run.
Yeah, I think you're right. And I think it's one of those where if he does lose, it kind of just puts a pin in it straight away, and it's like, okay, I'll move on to the next thing. Whereas if he wins, then maybe he is dragged into that Ring of Honor world for a bit too long. We want to see him in AEW. So yeah, I agree with that as well, but we'll see. We'll see what happens.
We'll see. And that's why it's good. Different opinions and different things, and who can win. But the next question comes from Dad Bloop, who says, when would you want to see MJF back in AEW, and who would you want him to be in a program with next?
Oh, you got to prep me before those sandals. So you got to prep me. I'd like to see him in AEW yesterday because the AEW needs him right now. In my opinion, I think that there's a big MJF-shaped hole that's currently being attempted to be filled by Christian with his controversial takes, and it's just not quite working in the same way. I think he can work with anybody on that roster. Maybe. I don't know, maybe you put him in there again with somebody like Orange Cassidy right now, but you don't want to take that hype away from what he's doing. He's got a lot of momentum behind him. It's a tough one. Maybe you throw him straight in there against Jonathan Moxley, because after the title says, I'm going to take this entire company by hostage for a while until PG Punk returns and all this stuff. There's, again, so many options with AEW. It's a lovely time.
It is indeed, but yeah, they need to get MJF in. Was it 4 weeks ago, 5 weeks ago, whatever it was that he cut that promo on Tony Khan?
1st of June.
Yeah. They should have had him on TV the week after. That's when they should have brought MJF back. The longer you wait on this from that moment, the less you can capitalize on how hot that was at the time, and it just feels like, I don't know, the whole thing's cooled off. Maybe they wanted it to cool off so he can come back as a heel and he's not automatically turned face just by how good that promo was.
Yeah. I've got a funny feeling that the entire thing may be influenced by the Punk injury, because I think if you saw that off-air angle that they ran after it where Punk came down to kind of chase him out of the arena, it did feel like maybe they were going to cross paths. Maybe he would have got involved in the match at Forbidden Door with completely Tanahashi. That could have been the way they've gone. Now they can't do that obviously with the Punk. It's a tough one. They've just kind of put it on ice because they haven't got a clear alternative plan. That's what it feels like.
Yeah, it's a hard one, but it needs to be sooner rather than later. Capitalize on these things. Definitely. And the final question of the day comes from Uncle Morty 23, who says, with WWE's new TV 14 rating going into effect soon, maybe, not guaranteed, what changes would you like to see the most? More blood, more intense storylines, etc.?
I think the intense storylines is the thing that's more compelling. If they make sense and it's not just intense for the sake of it and it's not just controversial for the sake of it, it's just genuinely intriguing storytelling, that's what we want. That's what we want to see. It gives us a reason to tune in and not feel like our brains are exploding every time we watch an episode of SmackDown or Raw. I think if blood goes into that, if it's used in a sense where it's heightening the drama and it's not just, here's a 24/7 title match, blood! We don't need that. That's not what we need. And then also something we don't need is just sex. And I feel like that's the scary thing with all of this, because there's a bit of
where they're going with NXT 2.0.
Yeah, a lot of toxic attraction kind of stuff, and there's a bit of a weird man at the top of this company right now. So less said about that, the better maybe. But I'm scared that's the angle we're going to be going with this, not extreme violent wrestling, which I don't know if that's good or bad. It's I don't know. It's a strange one, isn't it?
Yeah, I personally don't think a change to TV 14 would change anything, because you've still got the same guy at the head of creative and the same writers doing the exact same things. It's just because they get to swear a bit more isn't actually going to make that TV any better.
So when Stone Cold Steve Austin comes back, he doesn't have to do that to the audience anymore.
Yes, that's about it. So the changes I want to see is better writing, better storylines within the PG bracket, which means that if you get a storyline that does get hot and does go on to a big 3-month feud or something, like Cody Seth is a good example. You've got somewhere else that you can turn that up
you can escalate
when it's worthy of doing that, and that's when you bring in the extra level of TV 14 stuff, when things are necessary, not just because you can. But the biggest change needs to be better writing.
Better writing's great, but I think you should go with my pitch, which is a response to Blood and Guts, an entire PLE named Forbidden Gore.
There you go.
That's my opinion.
And on that note, let's end the video. Thank you very much for joining us. If you want, you can follow us over on Twitter. You can follow me at @FillMyChambers. You can follow Gareth
At GMorgan04.
And you can follow all of us at WhatCulture WWE. Make sure you subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment down below, importantly, what you think of all of today's stories, and what big changes you would want to see in WWE. If it did go to TV 14, let us know down in the comment section below. Watch more videos. Rampage and SmackDown Ups and Downs are coming out very soon, so watch out for those. And most importantly, have yourselves a bloody good day.
Bye-bye.